Fear, fear, fear. Has fear ever held you back from something? I know for me, fear used to control so much of my life. That primal feeling. I used to be afraid of abandonment, afraid of failure, afraid of rejection. Not only that, but I feel like fear was such a big part of my life. It made me limit my own growth and my own journey. I was afraid to heal. I was afraid of success. I was afraid of who I would be without that story. And so, wherever you are in your journey of fear, know that you are not alone. And just take a moment before we dive into this typical topic where I'm going to be talking about the number one key to overcoming fear. I want you just to take a moment and just think about fear. How does it show up in your life? What does it feel like in your body? Because for today's tickle topic, as I dive into the number one key to overcome fear, I'm going to be inviting you gently along the way to start cultivating a new relationship with fear. Why? Because when we can start to create some psychological distance from these big emotions that tend to override our nervous system and send us spiraling or back into past experiences, that distance is going to liberate you from feelings of struggle, of challenge, of fear. So if you are watching with me live, go ahead and drop a woohoo in the comments. And if you're watching this in the future replay, go ahead and drop a woohoo anyway. Hey, Kevin. Now, that being said, when we talk about the number one key to overcoming fear, it's really going to be learning how to cultivate a new relationship with it. I know that sounds weird because how can we really cultivate a relationship with something that we're afraid of or something that we hate, something that we're angry towards? And when you think about your fear, what other emotions come up with it? For me, it was anxiety, it was anger, it was also resentment. Because oftentimes, fear, although it is this primal, visceral emotion, it's normally not alone. Our fear loves to hang out with other emotions and other experiences. So, as I talk about this key of cultivating a new relationship with it, can you be aware of all the other friends it likes to hang out with? And if you know, drop it in the chat. Does your fear like to hang out with anxiety? Does it like to hang out with anger? Does it like to hang out with resentment? Because when we are letting fear or having fear take over and it's resulting in these missed opportunities, swallowing our words, or anything in between, sometimes it can be really powerful to understand who else it's bringing to the table. And when I'm talking about how to cultivate a new relationship with your fear, I want to talk about this in three different ways. One, can you talk to it? Can you talk to your fear? What does your fear sound like? What is its tone? What is its style of language? How does your fear sound? Does it have certain metaphors that it likes to go to? For example, my fear, its tone is very different than, say, my excitement or my anger. Its language tends to be more of catastrophizing. Say that word twice, catastrophizing. What is your fear tone? What is that language? Because as you talk to it, you're really going to start to notice the nuance of your fear. Because your fear, I know it has so much to say. And we don't live in a world where we're taught how to feel safe in feeling fear, let alone in processing it, let alone in talking to it. So, as you start to cultivate this new relationship with your fear and you start to open up dialogue with this part of you, I'm really going to invite you to be mindful of how different that voice of your fear is as opposed to yours. Hey, Deb, it's so nice to see you. So, take a moment and just drop in the chat even. What style of language, what tone, how does your fear like to talk? Again, mine was a little catastrophizing. It was very antsy. It was very rigid. It was a lot of what ifs. And a beautiful thing of when we can really start to open up that dialogue with our fear, with these big emotions, it's going to really empower us to externalize that emotion. Instead of allowing it or having it take over the whole nervous system and override our mind and our body. So we're playing smaller, we're hiding, or we're limiting our growth or expression. Really being able to talk to it is going to help us externalize it. It is no longer, I am fear. I am terrified. I am freaking the F out. It is, oh, I am Des. I am Deb. I am Naomi, and I am talking to my fear. And that externalization has so much power. A lot of different things start to happen in the mind. Our brain is actually interpreting it in a different way, and it makes it easier to analyze. It makes it easier to understand our fear and the wisdom that it holds and the message that it's trying to bring. It allows us to be more rational and less emotionalized in our thoughts. It allows us to step into a place of response as opposed to react. If you've ever done something because you are afraid, know that it is not your fault. Fear is a very visceral, primal emotion, and it's got a very strong way of overriding our system. I really struggled with intense fears of abandonment. And as a result, anytime I would feel a loved one leaving, or anytime I would have that perceived threat, oftentimes I would lash out. I would double down. I would go into these feelings of anger or resentment and pushing people away because that's how my fear responded. It wasn't my authentic expression, but it was the authentic expression of my fear. I surrendered and allowed that emotion to take over my body through those experiences. And that's why I'm sharing this resource with you, Instagram and Women of Wisdom, because I know when we can really start to externalize our fear, it's going to allow us to stay in our sovereignty. It's going to liberate us from those visceral feelings of nervous system fight, flight, freeze response. So, can you open up your dialogue with your fear? What does it have to say? What does it sound like? And the other thing, can you maybe even bonus, can you give it a persona? And I know that might sound kind of weird, but what is your fear? What does it look like? What does it like to dress as? Does it have a name? Does it have a favorite color, a favorite food? This personification is a beautiful way to really start playing with your fear. So that way we're not just opening up dialogue, but we're really starting to shift our response, our reaction, our relationship with it, which again, that is the number one key here. Cultivating a new relationship with your fear through dialogue, through personification, through play. And that might seem weird because, we're adults and we're told that we're not meant to play anymore and playing is for children, but that's not the case. We're all just children in adult bodies. And if you like to play, drop play in the comments. And if you're afraid of playing, know that you're not alone. I hid so much of my play because I was afraid of being judged or ridiculed. And so just know wherever you are in your journey, it's okay. I've got your back. And I'm here for the play. Because when we play, it allows us to shift out of the heaviness of fear. And it allows us to step out of that heaviness more into a space of lightheartedness, of creativity, of And that's a beautiful gift to give to yourself. And it's a beautiful gift to give to your fear as well. How different do you think your fear would be if you were able to play with it? How different do you think your fear would show up in your life if you could open up dialogue and talk with it? Take a moment and really think about that. How different would your fear be? And how different would your daily life experience be? Everybody, these are my Thursday tickles, a time where I tickle you with information for your personal development. Why? Because life gets crazy out there. And sometimes when we're talking about these big, heavy topics like fear, we don't really want to step into that heavy space. So these tickles are here to tickle you with information, to make it playful, to make it light, and to really start bringing in that missing piece to the puzzle of personal growth and development and healing, and to talk about the parts of ourselves that we might hold back. Everybody, I'm Des Caminos. I'm an embodiment and somatic practitioner. And if you're like, oh, this was good, I can't wait to start cultivating a new relationship with my fear through open dialogue, personification, and play, then just know that I'm over here rooting for you. And if you're really someone who's thinking about these concepts and it's resonating with you, but you would like a little bit more support on do I really start to talk to my fear? This feels kind of weird. How do I personify? How do I play with it? Then drop me in the comments or click on the link that's in my bio or in the description. because next week, January 15th to 17th, I'll be leading a free community event called Emotional Alchemy, where we are going to be transforming feelings into freedom through improv. Why? So you can have better sleep, so you can be more present with your loved ones without going into spiraling thoughts or hyper awareness or overthinking. So you can experience emotional freedom and with that, lasting joy and deep inner peace. Again, if you want to come to that event, drop me in the comments so you can check the link out in my bio. Just know wherever you are in your journey, you are not alone. I've got your back. I believe in you, always. Bye, everybody. I'm Tess Caminos. Awkward time where I get off live. Yeah, I love that play, Deb. Bye, everybody. And bye, amazing women of wisdom. I love you and I believe in you so much. Bye.